Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Diane Hayden, and you are listening to The Dr. Diane Show. Stay with us for the next half hour where we explore revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul. Each time on The Dr. Diane Show, I have experts from around the country discussing cutting edge topics on longevity medicine, natural health, mindset, and soul purpose to help you shift your perspective and become a mindset warrior like me. I'm happy to be joined by Dr. Jake Berman tonight. He's graduated from the University of Florida with a doctorate in physical therapy, and he sought out mentorship from two separate mentors that both had 20 plus years of experience helping people keep active and mobile so that they can enjoy high quality active lifestyles. What Jake found was that the back pain was by far the most debilitating pain and the highest factor leading to decreased physical activity later in life. These experiences are what inspired Jake to specialize in helping people aged 50 plus keep active, mobile, and pain-free despite the aging process. There's nothing more rewarding than being able to alleviate somebody's back pain so that they can get back to living their best life, especially in Naples, where he practices. Over the years of helping thousands of people aged 50 plus become stronger and pain-free, one thing for sure has become apparent: he who rests rots. Jake is a firm believer that we become stiff and then old, not old and then stiff. So welcome, Jake. How are you tonight?
Holy guacamole, what an intro.
I love your saying there. And I totally agree with you. You become stiff and then old, not the other way around.
Yeah, if you really think about it, you get stiff, so you quit doing things that you used to do because you're too stiff to do it, and then it just snowballs in the wrong direction.
Totally, totally, exactly right. It's like it's that saying, if you don't use it, you lose it for sure. So, how did you go down this journey? How and why did you get interested in physical therapy? It's again going through your doctoral program, and then now in the area that you specialize in terms of 50 plus and over. Just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, to get started, it was better than construction.
That's true.
I grew up doing construction and I thought that that was my plan. I was just going to go to college for some type of construction degree. And my senior year, my dean asked me what my plan was. And I told her, and she goes, "Why don't you look into physical therapy?" And I'm like, "What the heck is physical therapy?" And she's like, "It's in the gym setting, it's inside in the AC. You're not stuck in a cubicle. You're a good people person. Just look into it." So I looked into it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. Let's do this. And then I was like, wait, it's a master's degree? I don't want to do that. And she's like, just do it. It's not that much. So, of course, my first year in undergrad, they changed it from a master's to a doctorate. And I call her up
Right.
and I'm cussing her out. I'm like, no, it's a doctorate. I'm never getting out of school. So, fast forward, get my doctorate degree, and I go out into the panhandle and I forced the guy that I did my last internship with to give me a job, Bob Seaton, because he was the best manual therapist that I had experienced throughout my schooling. And he gave me a job and taught me everything that he could in the 2 years that I was there. I was transparent. I'm leaving because the plan was always coming back to Naples. So ended up in Jacksonville for 2 years while my wife was getting her master's, and she's a physician assistant, and found the best manual therapist there. Forced him to hire me. He's got a funny story about that too. And ended up coming back to Naples and putting the shingle up and being completely cash based, 100% out of network, focusing primarily on manual therapy is how I started. And it's so funny how things evolve over the years, because I thought that just by saying I'm the best manual therapist in town and I can fix your pain, that people were going to come running. And it was crickets. I mean, it was just horrible. I could not give away my treatments for free. And I don't know how much in detail you want me to go to from there to where I'm at now.
Well,
What?
I think that is a great story that where you started down that path, because we also, in addition to our listeners are, yes, readers of the magazine and people who are looking for your services, but quite honestly, there are a lot of practitioners that watch my show, that read the magazine, and lots of them have the same story about how they got started. They thought, I'm just going to put the shingle up and, people are going to be banging down the door. So I think it's great to hear this because it gives people perspective who get really frustrated and discouraged early on, that if you just keep, I mean, you have a great business now, you have a successful practice. And so you can tell just by listening to your personality that you're the type of person that doesn't give up. You're like, I'm going to go after this, I'm going to get it. I'm going to force that guy to give me a job. I'm going to force people to come be my patient. However, you did it, I think it's great for people to hear because it gives them inspiration. So, yes, keep on going. Tell us what happened next.
So almost a year into being in business, I'm looking at my bank account and I'll never forget it. I was 8 months into it and I finally got $7,500 in my bank account. And I'll never forget it because at that time, my checking account had a $7,500 limit on it. And then I didn't have to pay fees anymore. So I'm like, yeah, I made it. But I
Yep.
still wasn't making any money and it was just brutal. So that's when I realized, okay, I got to figure out this business aspect. Who cares how good of a therapist I am? The business aspect was the problem. Long story short, I ended up finding a really great business coach that I'm still with today, 6, 7 years down the road, and learned how to market my skills, market my business. And the messaging really was the most important thing. Nobody cares how good you are, they care about their problem. We all care about us. We don't care about other people. As much as you want to say that you love people and you care about people, at the end of the day, you care about yourself. So when you're in pain, you don't care about somebody that's got all these degrees and is great, they think they're great. You care if they can help you with your problem because nobody else has ever experienced the problem that you have. We all think that our problem is unique versus me, back pain's all the same. If you're over the age of 50, back pain really is all the same. We got some glute weakness, some core weakness, some pelvis instability. You get those three things ironed out, it's pretty much going to work for at least 95% of people who have back pain in general. We're generally speaking now. And that's really what my business coach helped me with was marketing the message that resonated with people because nobody cares about your credentials or how good you are. They care about can you help them with their problem?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly right. Exactly right. That's so true. It's interesting to hear that side of it for sure. And also that, and I know you're saying generally speaking, but like all back pain can be treated similarly, which leads me down the road to this next question. And we talked a little bit about before we got on, I think there's a lot of things that you're going to tell our listeners, where maybe they've heard something a certain way or whatever, a myth or a misconception about physical therapy or the way that you treat. And so you are definitely the person that is not going to sugarcoat stuff for us. So so let's have it. Like, tell us about any myths or misconceptions or anything that you just want to say. I know you like to talk straight to people, and that's at the end of the day, that's what we want to hear.
okay, let's start at the very top. Health insurance does not have your best interests in mind, and health insurance will only reimburse for physical therapy services that they deem are medically necessary, not what your therapist thinks is the best and most appropriate intervention for you. That's how we got into this mess. It's as simple as that. That's how we got into where we are at today with this broken ass medical system. And that's the reason why I don't take insurance because I can do exactly what you need, no more, no less. So, whatever it is that you need, you come in for back pain, but the problem is your ankle, I can fix your ankle. Versus you go to an in network insurance accepting clinic, you go there for back pain, and the problem is your ankle, they can't fix your ankle because insurance won't reimburse for it. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? All of these loopholes that you got to jump through just to treat the patient. And that's what led to this cookie cutter PT system. I call every insurance, not every, I got to be careful with that. Let me say, I'm going to say every corporate PT clinic as a mill. It's an assembly line. Get them in, get them out. It's all about productivity. The therapist is seeing 3 to 4 patients an hour, and it's assembly line. The tech is usually taking the patients through the exercises. They have no idea if you're doing them right or wrong. It just looks good. Yeah, that looks like it's doing its job. And it's just a joke. It doesn't work. So that's where I'm at here is I don't take insurance at all. And I don't think that there's anybody in Southwest Florida that can rival the rates that we're charging. So we're by far the most expensive in our area. I don't even know if there's anybody in Florida that rivals our rates. And it's because we're worth what we do, because we can do exactly what we need to do. I'm not going to waste your time and put some ice or heat, some bullshit tens units on you. It's all a joke. It's all a joke. I mean, it's just something to get reimbursed for.
Yeah, it seems like their hands are tied to a certain extent too, because it's like if they come in with back pain, exactly like you said, but there's another issue, and you're saying that the insurance company is not going to pay for that. So, what's the physical therapist going to do? I mean, they have to come up with stuff that's going to, quote, help the back pain that the insurance company is going to pay for, and then, send you on your way, but you're never really getting to the root cause of what the issue is. You're never really fixing, you're just kind of treating the symptom. And that's, as we know, in our field, does not work for very long. And honestly, to me, my perspective is, okay, so you're cash based and you're expensive, but if I only have to come to you for a handful of times and you're actually going to get to the root cause quickly and fix it, then why would I want to keep going to a physical therapist just because my insurance pays for it for weeks and months and nothing ever gets better?
Because that's the expectation. And before we get too far from it, I don't want anybody to think that I'm coming across as saying that physical therapists that work in that system are being malicious or being negligent. They're not. They're doing exactly what you said. Their hands are tied. They have to reach productivity measurements, and they can only do what they're able to do. And to come back to treating the problem and not the symptom, let's use knee pain, for example. It's one of the easiest examples for people to understand. At least 9 times out of 10, non-traumatic knee pain is due to glute weakness. So your ass is just weak. I call it weak ass syndrome. You've been diagnosed with WAS, weak ass syndrome. If you go to the insurance-based cookie cutter clinic, you're going to be getting some straight leg raises, some leg extensions, and a bunch of exercises to strengthen, quote unquote, strengthen your knee joint. But that's just the symptom. Your knee is flared up because your glute above the chain, above the knee, is not doing its job to support your knee joint. So it might feel better temporarily, or worse, it won't feel better. And you think that you got a bad knee. You don't have a bad knee. You have a weak ass. So it's a problem. It's a real big problem.
Yeah, I can speak to that. Actually, it's funny that you brought up that specific scenario because my mother, who fell and broke her hip a couple months ago, that's exactly what has happened to her. Maybe, I don't know, a couple weeks post surgery or so, she was getting all this pain in her knee, and she still has it. And she kept thinking, there's something wrong with my knee, there's something wrong with my knee. And I'm trying to tell her, and the medical doctors are trying to tell her, it's not your knee, it's that they had to cut into your gluteus to do the surgery. And your that big muscle on your butt is weak, and it's also trying to repair and all this stuff. So it's so interesting you bring that up, because that is exactly what happened to her.
There you go.
Yep. Yep. People just don't understand the body as well, right? Like, if you don't have a background in our degrees, I'm exercise physiology, you're PT, anatomy and physiology, that kind of thing. Like, people just don't understand how the body works. So I get it. Like, if your knee hurts, of course you think there's some structural issue with your knee, or maybe even related to your quadricep. You're not going to go one muscle group that far away and higher, right? To think like, oh, maybe it's my gluteus muscle. It just doesn't, compute that way in the way people think about how their body works.
You're right. And that's one of the saying that we have the saying that we have is the curse of the provider, where this is my expertise. That this is so simple to me that there are times where I can forget that it's not simple to the average Joe. where it's like, how did you not know that that was the problem? Well, it's because it's not their expertise. They're computer engineering or something else. I, I'm an expert in biomechanics and they're an expert in computer engineering. Why would they know what the problem is? They shouldn't know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, other than people when they come to you, and why somebody would want to work with you versus a corporate physical therapist or really anybody else, one, I think it's because you're going to get to the root of the problem, and you're going to be able to help fix it, and in a much shorter time frame as well. You're not having to go about all these ridiculousness of whatever insurance is going to pay for, and that's the only treatment that you're going to get. What else can people expect when they come to Berman PT and work with you guys?
A transformation, that's probably the biggest thing that people don't expect, yet they receive, is a transformation. And here's the example that I see so often is we see a ton of golfers with back pain. It's actually what I specialized in before I opened up Berman Golf and went into a golf performance business, where somebody on day one, their goal is usually, I just want to be able to play 18 holes one time a week and my life would be fulfilled. My life would be amazing, but my back won't let me do it. And because I've been doing this forever and I can see this person and I'm assessing them and I'm thinking in my head, well, we're going to reach that easily. And when we reach that, your new goal is going to be, I want to play golf at least 3 times a week. And then when we reach that goal, your new goal is going to be, actually, I want to go to Scotland and I want to play golf 7 days in a row. This is called a transformation process, where on day one, if I were to tell you, I'll get you golfing 18 holes once a week, but really your goal is going to be, you're going to play golf 7 days in a row in Scotland. Nobody would ever believe it because they
Right.
just can't see it. It's too big of a jump, too big of a gap. However, as we start going through the process and you're like, oh my gosh, this is way simpler than I thought it was. I thought I had to have surgery. Turns out my butt muscle's just not working. Get that muscle firing again, my back pain feels much better. I can play 18 holes easily. Let's go for 18 holes twice a week. Let's go for 18 holes 3 times a week. And then it's like, wait a minute, I've always wanted to go to Scotland. So we're talking major, major transformations. And that's one of the things that I'm most humbled by. One of the most rewarding parts of my career is so many people that I've worked with over the years are completely different today than when we first started. And they never, ever in a million years would have saw that coming. And that makes everything amazing.
That makes it all worth it. That's awesome. Awesome. It's so sad that people come to you and think like all I want to do is just play like 18 holes once a week, and it's not even in their mind like space that where could I like really get to working with you?
Well, I get it at the same time because back pain is very, very scary if you
Yeah.
don't know what it is. You just going on to Dr. Google and WebMD and you're going, oh my gosh, surgery, 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 fusion, 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 surgery, fusion, never going to be the same again. That's all you see when you're trying to self-educate. Don't even go on to YouTube and watch videos. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I don't blame them for only having that goal.
Yeah. I don't know if you have a number or whatever, and if you don't, that's totally fine. This question just popped into my head. Do you have any idea like what the percentage of people is that you've actually been able to help so that they didn't have to have surgery?
99%.
Really?
99%. Now, there is an asterisk there. 99% of those who went on with a plan of care, because we're very transparent on day one. Let's use the knee for an example again. You can come in on day one if you've been told you got bone on bone knee, a knee joint that's bone on bone, and you have to have a total knee replacement. Your knee is in excruciating pain. I don't know why I'm here. I'm wasting my time. I'm just giving it one last ditch effort, Hail Mary. I'll be able to tell you in 20 minutes, 30 minutes max if you need to have that knee replacement or not. And here's how I do it. My wife and I just recorded a podcast on this morning. Funny. oddly enough. If I can get your knee to go completely straight, meaning that I'm pushing the back of your knee flat against the ground or flat against the table, pain-free, then it's highly unlikely that you need to have surgery.
Really?
If I can't get that knee straight in 20, 30 minutes, then I'm going, uh, maybe give me one more session to see if I can pull a magic trick and do it on that second. But if I can't get in the first 1 or 2 sessions flat, it's pretty likely that that thing is shot and you're going to need to chop it off, because the number one cause of knee pain is you can't get it completely straight. And usually the preamble to that is because your glute is not doing its job. The gluteus muscle is not strong enough to pull your knee straight, not your quadricep muscle trying to straighten it from the front, but your gluteus muscle trying to pull it from the back. And I can tell you straight, like I said, I'll tell you straight up on day one, we can avoid a knee replacement or we can't avoid a knee replacement. That's why the success rate is so high, is because we don't do trial and error. Let's just see how this goes. I effing hate that. When you go to a provider and they say, well, let's just see how this goes.
They don't
Really?
know.
Aren't you the expert?
Yeah.
Aren't I giving you a lot of money to be the expert and tell me exactly how this is going to go? It's
Right.
like, come
Exactly.
on.
So that's fascinating to me. You're basically saying that what's the physiology behind that? Just real quickly. I mean, I think people might be curious about it. Like, so just by pushing the knee flat against a surface, they don't, and if you can do that, you're saying that the person doesn't have to have surgery.
Because we're talking about a pain response. If I can
Okay.
get the knee to go completely into extension, and it's technically called hyperextension, but it's secured or stabilized hyperextension. If I can get it to go into full hyperextension, don't get scared listening to this, because it's not like I'm bending your knee backwards. I'm just
Right.
pushing the back of your knee to the floor or to the table. If we can get it to do that completely 100% pain-free, then you've gotten rid of the pain response. The pain response is why people have a knee replacement, not because it's bone on bone. And this could easily get us going down a rabbit hole. I'll try to give you a 30-second cliff note. When I first started my career, I was working with somebody who had a knee replacement. The first week out of a knee replacement is excruciating. It's his right knee. And he goes, man, I'm really not looking forward to having my left knee replaced. I'm like, why do you have to have a left knee replaced? Well, because on x-ray, that one was worse. The left one was bone on bone, but it didn't hurt me. The right one was killing me. That's why we decided to do the right one first. And I'm scratching my head going, wait a minute. Your left knee's bone on x-ray, but it doesn't hurt? You replace the right knee that showed up better on x-ray just because it hurts more? And I'm going, what the heck? This doesn't make sense. And it just happened over and over and over again through my career. And that's where I can say straight up with 100% confidence, bone on bone does not cause pain. It can be correlated with pain, but it can't cause pain, because there's too many examples that I've seen in my own career where people have bone on bone x-rays, but they don't have pain.
Yeah. Well, this might be the biggest aha moment of this podcast. People are going to be like, "What?" A million people who are scheduled for knee replacement surgery, like for the next 6 months, are going to be calling you. Like,
Listen, original parts are best. And I'm not saying that I'm God and I can fix everything. What I am saying is, if you show up to me on day one being told that you have a knee replacement, and by the end of that first session, I'm telling you, we can at least prolong it a significant amount of time, not just a couple of months, but a significant amount of time, then it's worth it, because these things wear out. You don't want to have another revision if you're 50 years old and you've been told you need to have a knee replacement.
I know. Yeah, no, I know. That's crazy. Well, that's awesome. That's great information to know, and I hope that people will certainly take advantage of that and connect with you for sure. What is one thing you wish our listeners knew about your practice?
that insurance is not going to do the right thing for you. There's so many people that when we get to the insurance question, it's an immediate turnoff for them. And they're like, oh, I gotta use my insurance. And I'm like, really? Is somebody holding a gun to your head? Or is it just what you're grew up with and it's this
Yep.
social norm? You're supposed to use your insurance. You're not used to paying for your health care, but you're used to paying for your Bentley or Maserati. It's like, what the heck? Do you want something nice or do you want to go to the cookie cutters? There's nothing wrong with Hondas. There's nothing wrong with them at all. They're brand new cars. Go get you one for 20 grand. But if you want a really nice one, you're going to have to go somewhere else and you're going to have to pay a lot more money and they're not going to take your insurance.
Yeah. Listen, it's you are preaching the choir here because it's been like my one of my missions with my magazines to educate people on why they need to take responsibility for paying for their healthcare and not relying on insurance because just like you're saying, it's not just you, it's everything. It's like it's medical doctors, it's naturopaths, it's you name it across the board. Because insurance won't pay for it, you're going to keep going back to the same traditional doc that's not helping you. Five of them that still can't figure out what's wrong. Like you have this chronic issue and no one can solve, no one can get to the root cause of it. And they just keep giving you a medication, whatever. So you just keep using your insurance for that. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. Like literally, like just, I realize that there are people out there who literally cannot afford to pay out of pocket for some things. But I would say that you know there's at least 50% of the population, if not more, that are paying, like you said, for luxury automobiles, or they're going out to restaurants every week or whatever. They're spending their money, disposable money, on stuff that's like nice to haves. And
Niceties.
yeah, exactly. And not it's just we've just our goal is to try to reframe that, to try to shift that mentality around to realizing, no, you know what? I need to pay for this because I'm going to find the person who's really going to help me and I'm going to solve whatever this issue is instead of going through, the traditional rat race of it. So I hear you.
Well, I'm going to argue with you just for a little bit. When you said that maybe 50% can't afford it, I'm going to say 95% can. And the reason why I say that is because the same person that tells me they can't afford my services will walk out the door, go to Best Buy, and put an 80-inch TV on a credit card. So don't tell me you can't afford it. You don't value it. You
Right.
don't value your health care, but you value that freaking TV.
You're probably exactly right. Yeah. Right. People will buy TVs even if they can't afford food, probably.
They will. They'll buy the brand new iPhone. If it
Yep.
wasn't true, we wouldn't have the debt problem that we have in this country. We have the worst debt problem, to my knowledge, in the world. And it's because if you don't have the cash, just put it on the plastic thing. Who
Yep.
cares? It's only 28% interest.
Right. Yep. It's nuts. It really is, but all day long.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, how can people learn more about you? How do you want people to reach out and contact you? And
I think the best way is to listen to us on the podcast because my wife and I, we do a podcast, comes out every Monday, the Berman Method podcast. And I'm just explicit on that thing. No holds barred, over 100 episodes. So it's not like we just started the thing. And we just started a new series today, actually, where we're doing the Berman Method Mythbusters, where we are debunking all of these myths about the corporate medical world. And it just doesn't have to be that way. I mean, the take home message from today's episode that we had earlier was question everything. Question if it's right for you, question if it's wrong for you. So I think if your listeners went to the Berman Method podcast, they could hear a lot. Of course, they could go to the website, bermanpt.com. They could go see us on YouTube. If you want to get a laugh, go to my YouTube page, look up Berman Physical Therapy on YouTube and watch Mullet Monday. You'll get a good laugh.
oh God, that sounds hilarious. All right.
So,
So, bermanpt.com. And
yeah.
then how do they find the podcast?
Any of the podcasts,
Okay.
just look
Just
up,
Google the Berman method.
yep, the Berman
Okay.
method. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Anything else you want our listeners to know about you?
He who rests rots. Just keep moving and grooving. You do not get old and stiff. You get stiff and then old. So just think about that one. We could spend 30 seconds on it. What is something that you could do 5 years ago or 10 years ago that you're no longer doing because you don't think you can do it anymore? Maybe you should get back to doing it. One thing that I just did, I have a 3-year-old and a 3-month old. One thing that I just did myself with my 3-year-old was when she was a year and a half or 2 years old, you know how kids can just sit on their ankles?
Yes.
Does that make sense? Sitting
Yes,
on,
I know what you mean.
yeah. I went to do it and I obviously had not done it in years and I thought my knees were going to explode. And I'm going, oh my God, I cannot do this. But I took my own advice and I'm like, wait a second, let's get this back. It took me about a month to ease into it, but now I can do it no problem. I'll never forget it. It was when she was a baby because I tried to sit on my knees to reach over the bathtub and give her a bath in the little bathtub within the bathtub. And I'm like, I can't do this.
Yep.
So just think about that, listeners, is what is something that you could do 5 or 10 years ago that you can't do anymore? Get back to doing it. The body is an amazing thing. It will heal itself if you give it the right opportunity and resources to do so.
Totally agree with you. I'm going to try that thing. I don't think I could do it anymore.
Do it.
I'm going to try that. Then I'm going to go when I get back to Florida in the fall, then I'm going to come see you if I still can't do it.
You better be able to do it by then.
I know. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been great info. We've busted a lot of myths and given a lot of things for people to think about tonight for sure. Again, Jake is at www.bermanpt, that's BERMANPT as in physical therapy.com, or you can find his podcast, The Berman Method. And I hope people will be reaching out to you soon, at least to find out about that knee replacement surgery, because I'm telling you, that's huge.
Oh, that's one of the simplest ones.
Yeah.
Question if it's right. Question
Yep.
if it's wrong.
Awesome. All right, Jake, thanks so much. Have a great night. And thanks
Thank
everybody for listening in.
thank you guys for listening. That was awesome. Yeah.